to pub hours.
Right.
The pub opened, then we stopped doing whatever we're doing if we're rehearsing. Then when the pub closed, you dash. You order like 4 times the drinks and you down it because the pub is going to close at 11. Things have changed in England. There's no more pub hours.
Right.
So I had to do more than I really wanted to do as far as drinking to build my trust. Like, the trust, at least a guy that they want to hang out with.
I see.
Who is this Rudy guy?
Right.
He's in his bunk, doing whatever. Yeah, let's get him out of the band. Let's get him out of here. No, I had to really to keep my gig. I had to go with the flow.
Really?
And keep keep my eye on what I'm doing, and to the point that I say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And I did. I actually stopped drinking during the Aussie tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a certain Chinese restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska incident that involved being chased by the whole kitchen staff.
Wow.
At lunchtime, because first of all, we got kicked out because we got drunk. Uh-huh. This is a day off in Omaha, Nebraska. Day off during the tour in the afternoon. So we got the businessman lunch crowd.
Right.
And we walk in there and then start ordering sakis and whatever drinks, and we get kicked out because we were too loud. This is Ozzy, Sharon, Randy, and me.
Okay.
And so they bring this. We order food, but they didn't serve us the food. They bought it in paper bags, in boxes, little those Chinese boxes, of food. So Ozzy and Sharon, they get pissed off, and and even Randy, because everybody was like hammered. Okay. Including myself. And they started throwing the boxes around the room to the people that were eating. and Randy was kicking them like a soccer ball. And,
oh my God.
And before, it was pandemonium, just broke out. And they run out the door, Ozzy and Sharon and Randy. Meanwhile, I'm kind of like staggering out of the place because I didn't get involved in it. I didn't do it.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah.
No. They chased me down. These guys with like cleavers,
Jeez.
Yeah.
And they know how to use them, too.
Down, and Chinese guys yelling at me in Chinese, and they grabbed me, and they got these cleavers, and I think they were going to chop my arms off or whatever.
Oh my God.
I started fighting back, saying, no, it's not me. I didn't do it, all that. And then finally they let me go. But meanwhile, the three of them, they're like about 50 yards away from me in the parking lot, laughing and rolling on the ground, and they're drunk, Yeah. And so we tried to get a cab to take us back to the hotel, and nobody would stop for us. Nobody.
Were you guys dressed rock and roll, of course, right?
Yeah, day off, rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, Ozzy, no matter what he wears, he's Ozzy.
He's Ozzy. Oh my God, what a great story!
Oh yeah, so that was one of the things, the moments in my life that said, you know what, I have to really either quit or slow down enough that I can still hang with them.
Yeah.
Be accepted in the crowd, because if you don't do that, if you're not part of that hanging crowd, you're gonna get caught off, and you're not gonna be in the band anymore. You're not gonna be on tour.
Yeah.
But things have really changed now.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, how many bands are you in now?
I've right now just a couple. I mean, I've been in a lot of bands, but I know exactly. I'm relating to what you're talking about. Is like, oh, he's one of those guys that doesn't party, and I love that you brought up the fact that you did what you had to do to hang and keep your gig and stuff like that. It is a little different now, but I can relate to that. Sometimes you tell people you're sober, and they're like, oh, you're one of those, and it kind of puts you on the outside of what's going on internally sometimes with the partying. And I get that.
What was the turning point for you finding a band that accepted your sobriety and supported it too?
Well, I was in a lot of bands that partied. I just kind of went along with it, and it got. Actually, people have been pretty cool. In the last almost 14 years about my sobriety, because half of the time I'm the guy that ends up driving somebody, or when people are too wasted or whatever. But for me, it was it worked for a long time, but it was something that I started to go, God, who in the hell am I? Who's Sean? He's 39. He's been in a bunch of bands and done all this stuff, but I had no idea who I was. I kind of lost my identity
really
along the way. And
because of sobriety, or
no, just the partying and stuff like that. And I really was like, I was honestly, Rudes, I was like 39. I was like this scared little boy that had no idea who in the hell he was, and that was a turning point for me. I had a daughter that wanted nothing to do with me, and that was like a knife in my back. It really, really hurt. And I was like, wow, man, I got to do something to change this, because I'm really not feeling good about myself and life and all that. And it's very difficult, very difficult to get out of that scene. And luckily I had some musicians around that showed me how to do it, took me to meetings, and I got involved in the 12-step thing. That's what it took for me. I wish I could have been like you and just said, that's it, I'm done. And it didn't work like that for me. But the cool part is that now I have guys going, how'd you do it? I'm kind of dying over here. Can you help me out? And I've become that guy now.
You become a sponsor.
Yeah, or somebody that someone can call and say, how'd you do this? And that's a really cool thing. They say you've got to give it back to keep it. So that's been a blessing, to be able to share that with younger musicians and some older ones too. You never want to be that preachy guy, but if somebody asks me for help, I'm going to help them. Yeah,
and it also shows you the human experience.
Exactly,
that you're not alone at being, having the urge.
Exactly.
It's not just you; it's a lot of people.
Millions of people. I mean, that book is every language possible. That AA book, and it's helped millions of people all over the world. And I've got you as well as I do have friends that didn't get it, and they're not here anymore. And that's a bummer. Yeah. So we've all been through that. And so on the positive, I get to help out some younger guys. Here and there. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that for society.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for being one of those guys that showed me kind of how to carry myself. And I wanted to say this because it's really true. I mean, for a long time I was that scared little boy, and I was hiding behind fear, and and I got to see guys like you and how you carried yourself and how you treated people, and just a great man and a rock star. And it was really important for me to see that, have those influences like you and some other guys that you did it quietly, but you did it beautifully. And I am forever indebted for guys like you. I'm serious.
Thank you. But, it's also about passing it on like you're doing right now. Do you work with veterans?
We've done a lot with veterans, yeah. And I want to do more. I feel like they're not getting the treatment. They've given up everything for this country, and we really try to get involved in charities that are helping them. And it's just, I think it's so unfair in this country and how veterans are treated.
I mean, it's to me it's unheard of. How can this country treat the people that defended like that? And I see what it's considered now. Which it is being diagnosed as PTSD. Mm-hmm. If you look at the history of the United States, let's say end of World War II.
Yeah. I think they called it shell-shocked back then.
Shell-shocked. Yeah, back then it was shell-shocked. So all of these soldiers came, and you're trying to rebuild the country. The morale, and actually rebuild it. Suburbs started to appear because people were moving away from cities, families in suburbs, And the norm, and that time, we're talking about late 40s, early 50s, was kind of like, if you ever watch Mad Men, that whole thing, the husband comes home and the wife makes him a drink.
Yes.
You know, and she's there to service him,
yes.
you know. And meanwhile, he is shell-shocked.
Yeah.
You know, and the way he's dealing with reality is by pounding down a couple of drinks to, you know, quench the pain a bit.
Right.
You know, and then it evolves into the drug culture, you know, passed on. Now the children of those men that came from the war, now they're getting into drugs because they would see their dad drunk at the table, dinner table, no communication, the men just withdrawing, not talking to the kids, you know. And now the kids are doing, you know, they're doing smoking pot, doing LSD, doing whatever. Right. Meanwhile, you have Vietnam War. I'm older than you are by a few years. But when I was a teenager, every day we would go to the mailbox and pray to God
that we draft notice.
That's right. Yeah. We didn't get the draft notice to go and, you know, and report the next day.
Right.
Every day you live like that. So much uncertainty. I was living in Florida at the time, and I played music. But I thought, okay, I'm living this lifestyle, and I know some of my friends who've been, you know, devoting their lives to becoming a musician and being like, you know, perfect citizens. They're gone. They're out there somewhere in Asia, you know, Vietnam or whatever, you know. And some of them didn't come back.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's not like I really party a whole lot, but I tell you, this is something. It's something that it was a different way of life. There was a lot of uncertainty, not just about the music industry, you know, about becoming a professional musician, but just being able to live long enough to become one, you know. So yeah, we treated every day like there's no tomorrow. That's where I learned how to play. My attitude was like, you know, I'm going to give it the best I got because I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow.
Right.
I might not be here tomorrow. Literally not here. Still in the planet, but not in Florida. I will be somewhere else, you know. And then the draft ended.
Yeah.
You know, and things started changing. Music started changing. Influences. Society started changing completely. It became more of again, England became such an influence musically, you know, because there was a period that from, you know, with the British invasion, we also have Motown, we had R&B and blues and all of that.
But Hendrix came out.
Or heavy metal and all of that. And then we got glam rock.
Yeah.
The 70s. To me, that was kind of like a celebration. You know, so you get the 70s glam rock along with Pablo Escobar happening at the same time, especially in Florida.
Yeah,
it became a huge freaking party. That was it. You know, especially living in Miami, that was the biggest party town. Forget about LA. We're talking Miami.
Yeah,
you know, huge drugs, alcohol, everything that came along with it. You know,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Were there always guys that were more talented than you or more talented than me, but they fell away because of something like partying, or they got that girl pregnant, or this or that? But what was it that, you know, gave you the drive to
seeing guys like that?
Just to keep on going. You know, there was always those guys that were more talented than me, and somehow I kept stuck with it, you know.
But one thing
was it the same way for you?
Yeah, Miami, I mean, there was no musician in my life was more scary because he was so great, even at the early stages, and so inspiring at the same time. That was Jacko.
I was going to say
Jacko. You know, I used to go and see Jacko play lounges.
Yeah.
he was in a band called the Iris Sullivan